Something we need to continue to talk about is boundaries, and boundaries at work is important. Sometimes people get a little bit too familiar, and having some boundaries at work will stop that or it could slow down some of this. So, this woman sent me a story time. She said, I had this experience in the workplace about 6 years ago when I was in my late 20s. I worked at a typical low paying call center where we collected payments on overdue accounts. It was practically minimum wage, but we made commissions on our accounts that were put into our name. I had a female superior. We will call her Jane, who was a few years older than me. She was around 34. We had a male supervisor who we'll call John, who was there for almost a decade. He wasn't the most liked because he came off as a gruff and insensitive. We had an older female quit while in training because of how rude he was to her. He was around 40 and would flirt with some of the 20 something girls, especially while on smoke breaks. I personally really liked him because he was funny, and I don't intentionally think he meant to be rude. I think he was under a lot of stress for being the head supervisor and working a job that required results and hitting unattainable metrics. And I'll admit it, I had a crush on him. I thought he was handsome and funny and all around found him attractive, but did my best to not let on to it. I noticed he and my female supervisor seemed to flirt here and there. On Valentine's Day, he brought her flowers. She made a few cheeky and suggestive remarks to him that could have been seen as flirting. They were both in long term relationships with other people. During some of our meetings with our supervisor, a few of my teammates raised awareness that the male supervisor, John, was stealing accounts we had collected on and putting them in the names of members of his team. This would, of course, increase commission for those reps, but also, of course, increase his bonus and performance metrics. All my supervisor would say is, I'm sorry. And when she was presented with another concern about John, she would say vehemently that she wasn't going to throw him under the bus. I knew I would not stay at this company very long, so I didn't bother to keep track of my accounts until one night I had to stay over on a call. It was a long call where I had to set up the customer on a large payment plan, and the commission I would make from it would be substantial. I had to stay 30 minutes over. John was the supervisor that night, and after I forwarded him the account number, he confirmed he put it in my name. I double checked it before I left, and it was indeed in my name. The next week, I decided to check on the account to see if John was doing the same thing as he was doing to other members of my team, and confirmed the same account had been placed under one of his reps' names. This is stealing. That is theft. Fast forward a few months close to when I quit, my supervisor Jane told me she was having meetings with her manager about how our team wasn't collecting enough money. I knew I was going to quit soon, so I didn't bother bringing up the fact that I was certain John was stealing most, if not all, of our team's accounts and putting them in his team member's name. Jane had already been told this anyway previously in a meeting. It seemed to me at the time she was just going through the motions and wasn't worried about her team's performance because the company was still making money. Over a few weeks, we noticed management would be coaching her and having her off the floor in a meeting for over an hour. Close to the time I left, she was a few months away from going on maternity leave. I think Jane felt some loyalty to John because he helped train her and helped her out with a lot of tasks. They both started taking lunches together. Days before I left, I heard from a few of my coworkers who were also quitting that she was getting poor performance reviews and decided to nitpick a few reps who didn't collect that much and do extra coaching with them instead of bringing up the fact that John was taking the accounts we had collected on. I'm not sure if she went back to work after maternity leave, but I think the company was also trying to find reasons to terminate her so they wouldn't have to pay maternity leave. Looking back, I'm angry that I allowed my crush on John to prevent me from heading straight into the management office and reporting those concerns. I doubt much would have been done. There was a lot of gaslighting, and my superior seemed to allow her attraction or possibly romantic relationship. They would take hour-long lunch breaks together, so they may have been seeing each other outside of work to get in the way of calling it out. In the end, John never got any kind of disciplinary action and maintained his record as the highest performing team lead performer on the floor by being deceptive and dishonest and not giving 2 cents about stealing money from reps who made practically minimum wage. In the end, I believe Jane was either put on a PIP, a performance improvement plan, and I believe, I'm sorry, and given warnings and possibly even fired, and not one defense from John. Goes to show how men put themselves first, even when you're under the impression they have a soft spot for you. It's dangerous, especially in the workplace, to assume you are buddies or friends with a man. I just feel so embarrassed of for having a crush on him and coming to his defense when some of the reps would voice concerns. I was also jealous of Jane's and John's work relationship and knew he was probably attracted to her and not me. This experience has taught me the value of decentering men and having no soft feelings in the workplace. This is a valuable lesson right here. Boundaries are very important because well, number one, you need to know and understand that these men would not do the exact same thing for you. You need to learn reciprocity and how it's important. Would this person come to your defense? If the answer is no, why would you stick your neck out for somebody? Number two, don't let these people play about your money because they are looking out for their pocketbook, but you are going to work for money. So why are you playing games and allowing them to play games with your money? Please make this make sense. Please understand why you are going to work in the first place. Number three, this is the reason why I believe that men need to rush back to work. They need to rush back to the office because mediocre males need to colonize other people's work because a lot of them can't do the work by themselves without stealing someone else's work. And that's what I said to her. This is another reason men want to be in the office to steal people's work. This is good because they do a lot of supposed micromanaging and helping or whatnot. But what they're really doing is looking over your shoulder to see what they can steal from you. So you have to be aware. And that's another reason why I think a lot of these people are failing and flailing when doing work from home because now they actually have to show and prove that they know how to do the position that they were hired for. And then this woman says, yep, and they know how to make themselves dispensable, maybe she meant indispensable to the company so they don't get any warnings or terminations. He was also buddies with the HR man, who was the only HR rep there for the whole office. One day, a coworker asked the HR guy how his vacation was and mentioned he went to Thailand. At the time, I thought nothing of it. But looking back, the HR man was single and in his late 30s and visited Thailand regularly. Him being friends with John made sense since John made a funny, teasing remark to me about being old. I was 29, and he would, of course, flirt with the girls in their 20s. One reason why most of his team were older people and men, they knew not to put young girls on his team and put them on Jane's team. All these years later, I still wonder if Jane came back to the office after maternity leave or if she was let go for poor performance. I've heard plenty of stories of companies targeting women and trying to get them fired when they announce a pregnancy so they don't have to pay it. Please know and understand that this happens. This is so real, and this is the reason why I wanted to do this. Look out for yourself, document everything. Don't believe that these people are your friends because they are not. They are looking out for yourselves and protect your own pocketbook. And please don't form romantic relationships in the office. That's probably one of the best things that came out of work from home, separating some of these people. All right, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Do you have any stories of your own to share? Don't forget to like, comment, and share.